There's a specific kind of Saturday evening. Everything is in order. You've had a good week, or at least a productive one. The apartment is clean, or clean enough. There's something good in the fridge, or you've ordered something good. There's no particular problem to solve tonight. Nothing urgent. Nothing broken. By any reasonable external measure, this is exactly what you are working toward. And yet, there's a flatness to it. A quiet underneath the quiet. Not depression. You know what depression feels like, or you've heard enough about it to know this isn't that. Not anxiety, not grief. Just a kind of absence. The feeling that something that should be landing isn't quite landing. That the life you built has a slight echo to it when you walk through it alone. And there's a question that arrives in moments like these. Usually you don't say it out loud. Sometimes you barely let yourself think it directly, but it's there. Is this it? Not a crisis question, not a desperate one, just a genuine, quiet, slightly uncomfortable question, sitting in the room with you on a Saturday evening, when everything is technically fine. If you've been there, if that question is more familiar than you'd like to admit, I want to say something before we go any further. You are not ungrateful. You are not broken. You are not failing to appreciate what you have. You have simply discovered something that most of the advice you were given never prepared you for. That achievement and meaning are not the same thing. That what you were told would make you feel fulfilled hasn't. And that this is not evidence of a flaw in you, but of a flaw in the formula. Today, we're going to look at that formula honestly and offer something better in its place. Let's start with the formula itself, because it's worth naming clearly. It goes something like this. Work hard, achieve things, accumulate the markers of success, the income, the status, the lifestyle, and you will feel satisfied. You will feel full. You will feel that your life is going well in a way that you can rest in. Most men received some version of this formula early and invested significantly in it. Not naively. The things the formula promised were real. Financial security is real. Professional accomplishment is real. The respect that comes with building something is real. But there was a part of the formula that nobody mentioned. The part where you arrive and the feeling doesn't last. You get the job. For a few days, maybe weeks, if it was significant enough, there's a genuine sense of having landed somewhere. And then the brain adjusts. The new position becomes the new normal, and a different target appears on the horizon, carrying the implicit promise that that one will be the one that actually satisfies. This keeps going. The raises, the titles, the relationships, the material things. Each one delivers, briefly, and then recedes into the background of a life that is, by every external measure, better than it was, and which somehow still feels like it's missing something. And eventually, a man who has been honest with himself long enough arrives at the question he wasn't supposed to need to ask. Why isn't this enough? The answer to that question is not what most productivity content, career advice, or conventional wisdom will tell you. But it is what Viktor Frankl spent his life explaining, and what the Stoics understood 2,000 years ago. And once you understand it, the Saturday evening question changes from something uncomfortable into something useful. The brain was not designed to sustain satisfaction. This is not a malfunction. It is not something to be fixed. It is the fundamental architecture of how the human reward system works. And once you understand it, a great deal of your confusion about why achievement doesn't deliver lasting contentment becomes very clear. When you pursue a goal, the brain's dopamine system activates. Not when you achieve the goal, when you are in pursuit of it. The anticipation, the progress, the movement towards something, that is when the neurological reward is most intense. When you reach the goal, there is a spike, a genuine one, real satisfaction, real pleasure, real relief. And then the brain recalibrates. The achievement becomes the new baseline. What was once the target is now simply the floor. And the dopamine system, which exists not to make you content, but to keep you moving, begins pointing at the next thing. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, the rapid normalization of new circumstances, the return to a baseline of wanting after any change in condition, positive or negative. It explains why the raise feels life-changing in the first month and unremarkable by the sixth. Why the apartment you were so proud to move into becomes simply where you live. Why the relationship that once occupied every thought becomes the daily context through which other thoughts occur. None of this is ingratitude. It is biology. But it means that chasing achievement as a source of lasting fulfillment is a strategy with a structural flaw built into it. The system is not designed to deliver what the strategy is trying to obtain. The target always moves. The feeling of arrival always dissolves. And a man who has organized his life around the formula, who has been genuinely disciplined and genuinely successful, finds himself at exactly the point you might be at now, with everything he was supposed to want, and the quiet, persistent sense that something is still missing. In 1942, Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and neurologist in Vienna, was arrested and sent to the Nazi concentration camps. He spent 3 years in Auschwitz and other camps, losing his wife, his parents, and nearly everything else. He survived, and what he brought back from that experience was a theory of human psychology that has not been improved upon in the 70 years since. Frankl observed something in the camps that ran counter to everything the prevailing psychological theories of his era would have predicted. He saw men in the worst possible conditions, stripped of everything, with no power, no freedom, no comfort, no safety. And he noticed that some of them maintained a remarkable interior dignity and wholeness, while others, in the same conditions, disintegrated. The difference, he concluded, was not physical strength, not intelligence, not even personality. It was meaning. The men who had a reason to survive, a person they were holding on to, a work they believed needed completing, a future they were oriented toward, bore suffering in a way that the men without it could not. Frankl called this the will to meaning, the fundamental human drive, distinct from and more powerful than the drive toward pleasure or power or safety, to feel that one's life is about something, that it matters, that what one does has significance beyond the immediate and personal. And when he returned from the camps and resumed his clinical practice, he observed the same principle operating in the comfortable West. He called it the existential vacuum. Men and women who had everything they materially needed and felt a deep, unnameable absence at the center of their lives. Not depression, not anxiety in the classical sense, a void where meaning should have been. He wrote that this was, in his view, the primary psychological condition of modern prosperity. Not the suffering of deprivation, the suffering of accumulation without purpose. The man who has achieved what he was supposed to achieve and still asks, is this it? Is not failing to appreciate his blessings. He is experiencing the existential vacuum. He is encountering the fact, which Frankl encountered in the most extreme possible circumstances, that human beings are not fulfilled by comfort or achievement. They are fulfilled by meaning. And meaning is something entirely different. Seneca wrote a short essay called De Brevite Vitae, on the shortness of life. In it, he makes an observation that has not aged. The problem is not that life is short. The problem is that we waste most of it on things that do not matter, and then discover the shortness too late. He described the men around him, men of wealth and status and social standing, men who had achieved what Rome considered success, and he was not impressed, because he could see what they were not seeing. That they had traded the only genuinely valuable thing, time spent building something inwardly rich, for the accumulation of things that looked impressive from the outside and felt hollow from the inside. Seneca was not anti-success. He was one of the wealthiest men in Rome. He was not suggesting that external achievement was without value. He was suggesting that men had got the order wrong, that they were treating the external as the goal and the internal as the afterthought, when the internal was the only thing that actually produced the feeling they were chasing. Marcus Aurelius came to the same place from a different direction. He was the most powerful man in the world, emperor of Rome, commander of armies, arbiter of the lives of millions. He had achieved more than almost anyone in history. And in his private journals, the Meditations, written for no audience and published only after his death, he wrote repeatedly about the one question that actually mattered to him. Not, what have I accomplished? But, what kind of man am I becoming? The Stoic framework placed virtue, the active daily development of wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline, at the center of a meaningful life, not as the means to success, as the point itself. You were not meant to become virtuous in order to achieve things. You were meant to achieve things as a context within which to become virtuous. That inversion is the correction to the formula, and it points directly at what success, on its own, can never provide. Let me describe a man who will be familiar in some way to almost everyone watching this. He's in his mid-30s. He has built something real. Not flashily. He is not someone who needs validation, and this is part of what makes the situation confusing. He is internally motivated, genuinely capable, and has produced results that people around him recognize. He is not unhappy. He's careful to note that to himself. He's not depressed. He has things to be grateful for, and he is, in a cognitive sense, grateful for them. But there is a conversation he keeps having with himself on the quiet evenings. A conversation that goes something like, what is all of this for? Not nihilistically, not in despair, just as a genuine question that he cannot find a satisfying answer to within the framework he has been operating in. The framework says, achieve the next thing. The next level will feel different. And he knows now, because he has been doing this long enough, that it won't. He has been to the next level enough times to know what it delivers, and how long the delivery lasts. He is not disillusioned with work. He's disillusioned with the premise that work and the things it produces are the answer to the question he's actually asking. The question he's actually asking is not, how do I achieve more? It's, what does any of this mean? And that question does not have an answer within the framework of success. It has an answer within a completely different framework, the one Frankl identified. the one the Stoics practiced, the framework of meaning.
Let me draw this distinction as clearly as I can, because it is the center of everything. Success is an outcome. It is something you either have or don't have. It can be measured, compared, and accumulated. It produces recognition from the outside. It satisfies the part of us that needs to see evidence of our effort in the world. Meaning is a process. It cannot be accumulated. It cannot be measured by external markers. It is not produced by arrival. It is produced by the quality of engagement in the work of becoming. Frankl identified 3 sources of genuine meaning. The first is creative work, not necessarily artistic, but any work in which you are genuinely contributing something that didn't exist before, where your specific effort, your specific presence, your specific application of who you are leaves a mark that is yours. The second is experiential value, the quality of presence in your relationships, in beauty, in the texture of daily life. The man who is genuinely there for the people he loves, who is actually present in the moments that make up his existence, finds meaning in that presence in a way that no achievement ever produces.
The third is attitudinal value, the stance a person takes toward unavoidable suffering, the choice of how to meet difficulty. This is the one Frankl discovered in the most extreme conditions, and it is the one that, when developed, produces the deepest and most unshakable sense of meaning. None of these are outcomes. All of them are practices, ongoing, daily, imperfect practices. And this is the shift the episode is pointing toward. Not from ambition to passivity, not from achievement to indifference, from asking, what do I want to have, to asking, who do I want to become, and what do I want to contribute?
These are different questions. They produce different lives. And crucially, unlike the question of what to achieve next, they are questions that do not have a final answer that leaves you standing in an empty room, wondering what comes next. They are questions you carry. They orient rather than conclude. And the man who is genuinely oriented toward becoming and contributing does not arrive at the Saturday evening flatness in the same way, because he is not waiting for something to land. He is building something that doesn't have an arrival point. And that, it turns out, is the structure that meaning requires. This is not a practical section in the ordinary sense. There is no system here, no 5-step framework, but there is a question, and questions, asked honestly and carried forward, are more powerful than systems. The question is this: who do I want to become? And what do I want to contribute? Not what do I want to have? Not what do I want to achieve? Not what level do I want to reach? Who do I want to become? And what do I want to contribute? Sit with that, not for 5 minutes, over days, over weeks. Let it be genuinely open. Let the first answers arrive, and notice whether they are the honest ones or whether they are the socially acceptable versions of the honest ones. The honest answer might surprise you. It might be smaller than you expected, more personal, more specific, more grounded in the ordinary texture of daily life than in the world of recognizable achievement. Or it might be larger, but it will feel different from the goals you've been working toward. It will feel less like an arrival and more like a direction. Then ask the secondary question: what would it look like to build toward that today? Not tomorrow, not when circumstances are better. Today, in the hours that are actually available. Because meaning, as Frankl discovered in the most extreme possible demonstration,
is not produced by circumstances. It is produced by orientation, by the way a man holds his work, his relationships, and his daily choices in relation to something larger than his own comfort and recognition.
That orientation is available now in the work you already do, if you bring to it the question of who you are becoming through it, in the relationships you already have, if you bring to them genuine presence rather than managed surface, and the choices you make about how to spend the hours that belong to you. Seneca wrote that a well-lived day is proof enough that a life can be well-lived. Start there. One day, genuinely oriented toward becoming and contributing. See what it feels like compared to the Saturday evenings.
Come back to where we started. The clean apartment, the quiet evening, the life that looks exactly as it was supposed to look, and the question sitting in the room with you, is this it? I want to offer you a different answer than the one the formula was giving you. The formula said, no, not yet. The next thing will be it. Keep moving. The honest answer is, it depends entirely on what it refers to. If it refers to the accumulation, the markers, the outcomes, the things that prove you've been doing the right things, then no. There is always a more impressive version of that. The brain will ensure that you always have a next target, and the feeling of arrival will always be temporary. But if it refers to a life that means something, a life in which you are genuinely becoming someone, genuinely contributing something, genuinely present in the relationships and moments that make it up, then the question is no longer about arrival.
It's about whether you are building in the right direction. Frankl survived the worst conditions in modern history because he had an answer to the question of what his life was for. Not an impressive answer by external standards, a true one. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire and found in his private writings that the only measure of a day that actually satisfied him was not what he had accomplished, but what kind of man he had been. Seneca, with all his wealth and influence, wrote that a life is only as full as the quality of inner work that has gone into it. These were not men who failed at success. They were men who succeeded at success and discovered from inside it what it actually provides. And what it provides is a foundation, a necessary one, but not a home. Meaning is the home. And you build it the way you build anything that lasts, not by arriving somewhere, but by choosing every day what you are becoming and what you are giving. Here's the one thing worth carrying. Success is measured in outcomes. Meaning is built in the doing. The Saturday evening question, is this it? Is not a symptom of ingratitude. It is the sound of a man who has completed the first part of the work and discovered, correctly, that there is another part. The part where you stop asking what you want to have and start asking who you want to become. That question does not have an arrival point. That is not its flaw. That is its gift. I'll see you in the next one.